The night before a big trip, I used to have terrible stress dreams about the airport. You know, being stuck in traffic, waiting in line for hours, and running in slow motion just to ultimately miss my flight. If you are one of the 55% of recent flyers that said airport travel is more stressful than going to work, you may have had this dream too.
But the good news is, after years of flying, I've discovered the best ways to make airport travel less stressful. And in today's video, I'm sharing my top 5 tips with you. So let's get into it. My first tip is to get to the airport early. And before you roll your eyes, I know you're probably thinking, why would you want to spend more time at the place causing you stress? But you have to understand that the name of the game is not trying to spend as little time in the airport as possible, because that's something that oftentimes you won't be able to control. For example, if your flight gets delayed a few hours, or if you miss a flight and you're stuck there till the next one, or if you're forced to have a long layover. So if your stress levels are directly correlated with how long you're spending at the airport, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Instead, what you want to do is figure out how to make your time at the airport as enjoyable as possible. So with this mindset, again, my first tip is to get there early, and this way you can avoid the undue stress of super long lines, or your bag unexpectedly being taken out of the security line, or if your gate happens to be all the way at the edge of the universe. You'll have plenty of time to get to your flight, so these things won't bother you. Now, exactly how early you should arrive definitely depends on the airport that you're flying out of, but for large airports in the US, I typically get there an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours early. And I promise you, this makes airport travel so much less stressful. Tip number 2 is to get TSA PreCheck. Now, to be honest, I've never actually had TSA PreCheck, but every time I go to the airport, I tell myself that I need to get it. It's a great way to make your travel day less stressful for 2 main reasons. First, because those security lines are typically shorter than the normal lines, and second, because when you have TSA PreCheck, you don't have to take off your shoes or your belt or remove your laptop from your bag. So basically, you're avoiding all the stress of getting half undressed and unpacking just to go through security and then scrambling to put it all back together. You don't have to do any of that. Now, I believe TSA PreCheck costs around $80, but it lasts for 5 years, and many travel credit cards like the Amex Platinum or Capital One Venture Card will actually reimburse you for the cost to sign up for the program. So if you have one of these cards, you're basically getting TSA PreCheck as a free perk. Of course, no matter how easily you get through security, you still have to endure the stress of fighting for a clean seat next to an outlet at your gate, right?
False.
Instead, you should look into getting access to an airport lounge, which are clean, private areas at the airport that offer free food, drinks, showers, and all the outlets you could ever need. They might seem too exclusive, but the truth is there's actually several different types of lounges and different ways to get into them. One common way is by having the right travel credit card. So again, Amex Platinum, which is one that I have, gets me into over 1,200 lounges around the world. And if you want to see what some of these lounges are like, I actually made a video of the one at New York's LaGuardia Airport, so you can check that out. Another way to get into the lounges is to buy an annual pass for a couple $100s, or if you're not ready to make that much of a commitment, you could also buy a day pass, which I think the average price is around $50, so you can check it out for a day and see how you like it. If you've never been to a lounge, I highly recommend just checking one out one day and seeing if you like it. All you have to do is Google the airport that you're going to, and you can find the lounges listed as well as their entry requirements. My fourth tip for making your airport experience less stressful is to make sure that you have a plan for how you're going to get to your accommodations once you land at the airport and your destination. This means doing your research in advance, or even booking some sort of a reservation before your trip even begins. It can be very stressful to arrive in a city, especially if you've never been there before, and then have to go through figuring out if you have to take a cab or if you should call an Uber or if you can take public transportation or if you're going to need to rent a car. So having this plan already set up before you even get there is going to take a huge weight off of your shoulders. And finally, my fifth tip for you is to travel with just a carry-on. And I believe that there is a right way and a wrong way to do this, and I will get into that in a second. But traveling with just a carry-on will make your life so much easier. You'll stand in fewer lines at the airport, you'll have everything you need during long layovers, and if you do end up taking some public transportation, it's so much easier to bring just a carry-on than to lug around giant suitcases with you. So as I was saying, if you pack your carry-on the right way, it can last you a trip of pretty much any length. But don't worry if you don't know the right way to pack a carry-on. I just made a video about it, walking you through the steps, so be sure to check that out. So those are my tips on making airports less stressful. If I missed any, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Please give this video a huge thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more exploration, inspiration, and travel tips. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!